Hello, everybody. It's another glorious Saturday in St. Louis. I'm still waiting for the cooler weather. I hope it shows up soon. It's Pink Lady Against Scammers. Welcome, one and all. And today, with me, as always, is my co-host Yvette. Hi, Yvette. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. Yesterday I celebrated my 58th birthday, so girl, I'm wonderful.
My God, I forgot. I knew somebody's was yesterday. Oh my God.
That's okay,
Get
girl.
get Yvette card. Okay, got to write that down. 'Cause my oh, because you're the same day as my dad. My
Yes.
dad's birthday was on the 26th, so oh, I feel terrible. I'm gonna take care of you.
Don't be.
So,
Don't be.
anyway, so I'm excited. I met my next guest on LinkedIn, which is where I meet a lot of people. And her name is Kate Kleinert. She is a phenomenal woman, and she has her scammer story to share with us and the positive things that she's doing after being scammed. That's just going to be awesome and is going to rock the world. So, Kate, welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Patty and Yvette. I'm so happy to be here today. I'm happy to be any place and have an opportunity to tell my story. Hopefully, it will resonate with someone who is listening, and maybe they won't go through the same things that I did. So I'm always glad for these opportunities. Thank you so much.
I'm excited. I like meeting new people. I met you because of Kathy from Advocating for You, also,
Yes.
who was our last podcast guest. So, and we talked a little bit about the Unbreaking Project, but we want to talk to you first before we get into that. Please
Okay.
share your story with us. And, I know it's not always easy to tell these stories, but as you know, it helps other people. So
Yeah.
take it away, Kate.
All right. Well, I do go out and speak about what happened to me. And sometimes when I'm introduced, people say, looking for love in all the wrong places. Well, I wasn't looking for love. I was not looking for a relationship. I was at that time when my scam started, I was widowed about 12 years and had never looked for another relationship, didn't ask anybody to hook me up with their brother-in-law, or I wouldn't know a singles bar if I fell over one. And I don't know if they still do that grocery store single stuff that they did some years ago. I have no idea because that's not what I'm after. So I wasn't looking for love, but it certainly found me. I never, ever, ever, ever accept a friend request on Facebook from someone I don't know until the day that I did. And it was during the lockdown of the pandemic. And I honestly think it had something to do with it. I think that lockdown had a much bigger effect on us than we realize.
Absolutely.
Mm.
It's going to be, I
Seems
think,
like seems like the scammers came out full force.
oh, they did.
And I just talked about this on an interview I was on yesterday. It's like it hit because we're all stuck at home.
Yes,
I didn't enjoy it either, but I found stuff to keep me busy. But yeah, that was, besides all the other horrible stuff, scamming had just skyrocketed during that
it
time.
did. It really did. And like I said, I had been widowed for 12 years at that point. I was quite used to living by myself and I thought I was doing very well. Thank you. But something about, I got pictures of a very handsome man dressed like a doctor. One picture, he was in a white, medical coat. And another, he was in scrubs. And I thought, oh man, he's not only a doctor, he's a surgeon. I mean, that's extra points. Wow. And who wouldn't want to be going out with a doctor? I mean, um,
Exactly.
but I have come to learn since then that there are three major categories of um, jobs that these guys portray themselves as having. One, of course, the top one is a medical person, doctor, definitely. And they're always handsome, the pictures that you get. The second one is a military man who is standing so straight and tall, has that high and tight haircut, and enough medals on his chest that he wonder he doesn't fall over. He's just got ribbons and medals and what have you, and he's very handsome as well. And then there's the third category, and that guy's a little younger, and he's wearing a t-shirt that's a little bit too tight. And it's got about 2 days worth of growth on his face, that rugged, sexy look, you know. And he's got a tool belt around his waist and jeans that fit him that fit him
Like butter.
and a and a hard hat on. And he's out on an oil rig and he's very handsome as well. So, listeners, if you ever get a friend request from someone who is stone ugly, go right ahead and accept it because scammers are never ugly, ever. They're always handsome. And of course, that's what gets us in the end.
And they have the kind of profession that is lucrative. They feel like a doctors,
Mhm.
military, oil rig, lawyers, policemen, but they are totally stunning and they have so much muscle that you want to climb that body. You know what I'm saying?
I do, unfortunately. So I did hit the accept button, and I wish I could go back to that day and either smack myself up the side of the head and say, don't do that, or figure out what was going on in my mind, whether I was extra lonely because of the lockdown or whatever. I hit the accept button. And he said his name was Tony, and he answered right away. We exchanged several messages on Facebook, and then he told me he would like me to download an app so that he could call me and hear my voice. And he suggested Hangout, which is now, I think, Google Chat and
Yes.
WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to make sure I'm very clear that there is nothing wrong with the apps themselves. I'm not bad mouthing the apps. However, they are 1000% untraceable. And the
Yes.
scammers know that, which is why they use those two apps.
Encrypted. They're
Yeah.
encrypted,
Yes.
so they cannot track or trace anything. Let me
No.
ask a question, Kate, because
Sure.
I'm here like I hear you before that you was interviewed by the news, local news, and that you give it the story with this doctor Tony. What was his last name?
It was spelled like the name Richard, but he pronounced it Richard.
I would like
Yes.
to see his picture.
Yes. I
I have a
got you
picture in my brain of who it
interview.
is. Yeah.
Yes, I got you interview and I actually share with my TikTok followers because it was so interesting that you went to the airport to wait. I mean, just continue your story and then I asked
Oh.
the other question. Sorry. I'm fascinated that I'm meeting you.
Uh, well, you've got the right one that you've looked up the interviews because I have been interviewed a number of times, and um, I have to tell you that when I heard Tony's voice, and boy, he had it polished and down to a science. That hey baby, that kind of voice. And I felt like I was in high school again, like, ooh, this guy
Oh,
likes me.
yeah.
This is great. Um, so we talked on the phone for a few days, and I got very excited every time I heard his ringtone come through my computer, and it was wonderful. And he asked me every single day, "How was your day, honey?" And no one has asked me that since my husband passed away.
Hmm.
So I have to admit, I was falling for this, although he very quickly got romantic. And like I said, I haven't dated anyone or gone out or had any interest in that since my husband passed. And this was kind of throwing me for a loop, when he would say, "I love you, say it back." And I'm like, nah, I can't do that,
Yeah.
not now, not, it's way too soon. And we haven't even met. How can you say you love me? No, I know, I know. And he would say the most romantic things to me and say, "I want to wake up next to you every morning the rest of my life." And I would do anything in the world for you. You're the one that's meant for me, and blah blah blah. It was wonderful to hear. And I fell for it. And after a few weeks, I will admit I started having some feelings for him, even though I hadn't met him, which is very surprising to me. If someone had said, "Hey, you're going to be talking to some man on the phone and you're going to fall in love with him and it's going to be great and blah, blah, blah," I would have said, "You're crazy. You're crazy."
Mm-hmm.
Let alone send him money. Now, he told me he was the same age as me. And at that point, I was, I think, 68. And I said, "What year were you born?" "Oh, there goes my beeper, hun. I'll have to call you back." And off he goes. Then when he calls back, he said, "I was born in 1953, just like you." I said, "How long did it take you to figure that out? Did you have to take your shoes off to count, on your fingers?"
The toast.
But if I asked him any hard question, his beeper would go off. They'd call him from surgery. They would, the hospital's calling, I got to go, whatever. Um, but there were other times when I asked him questions that I absolutely swore he was sitting there with the manual and like, here, page 36, I've got the answer to that one. Like he would just go down the list and be able to come up with some kind of an answer. I
Right.
have that. I have that book.
Everywhere. I share it with everybody. When I do my little conversations with them, I read from this. I give it back to them. I share it everywhere. Anytime I go to an event, I'm like, "Here, it's on my website. Help yourself." You
Hey,
Yep.
know?
people are shocked to find out, and it's a real how-to book
Yeah.
on how to get a woman to fall in love with you online and
I
make her
sent it
laugh.
to
You know,
Kathy, and Kathy was from Advocate. How'd you get this? I have been searching for it for a while. And then last year I finally found it. I just had to get this subscribe for 30 days. Well, it was a freebie
oh,
about
okay.
converting it to a PDF. And then
Mm-hmm.
I was able to download it. And then I canceled the thing because it was just a 30-day trial. And
Ah,
I share it everywhere that I can,
Well, before that book, I got the original.
Yes. Yeah.
The original script by these Yahoo boys. And I
ah,
share with Patsy, and I was mortified when I saw the things. It's like, oh yeah, they say that. Oh yeah, they write it the same way they sound. Okay, yeah. And I was like, oh my God.
yes.
Oh my God.
The pictures of the doctor that I was receiving is actually the poster boy for the Yahoo boys.
Yep.
Because he is an actual doctor, a real doctor in South
Yep.
America,
And yep.
Think I know who
and
it is.
he's a very
Girl, let
successful
me find it
plastic
because
surgeon.
I'm like, yes, it's he have salt and pepper hair.
He's
He always show himself with the scrub,
yes, in his scrub.
white.
There's two of them, and I'm trying to figure out which one of the two it
I
is.
want
It's
to get it for you.
Norman
Hold on.
Blanco, Dr. Norman Blanco.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I spoke last Friday, and a woman in the front row, when I put his pictures up on the slides, a woman in the front row said, "I got those same pictures."
Yeah.
So his
What is
pictures are,
his last name?
I believe it's Blanco, Blanko.
CO or KO, CO,
I think.
CKO.
Yes, it's been a while
Oh,
since I've looked him up,
yeah.
but there are lots of pictures of him with his children. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Tony told me he had two children and they were 12 and 15. And I said, "Now, wait a minute. If you're my age, how in the world do you have children 12 and 15? Are you sure they're not your grandchildren?" No, no. He said, "I'd been married to a very much younger woman and we had two children and then she passed away." Yes.
No, it's not who I was, but I recognize him.
Yeah.
Show me that again, Patsy.
Here, I'm going to text you the picture right now. It's
Yeah.
Dr. Norman Blanco
Blanco.
or Blanco. That's what
Oh, is it CO? Okay, sorry.
not a big deal. There's no, we don't do spelling quizzes because
Oh,
I would be
good.
terrible.
Good.
Yeah.
So
Oh
he
yeah, I
said,
got it here.
Okay.
Let me see. Yep, that's the dude. Yep, yep.
Okay, it was these other two guys I was thinking of, but I recognize him. So,
Mm,
okay, sorry for the
that's
interference.
okay.
It was like I got to find this guy's picture. I'll
He's
post
really
it on my website for those that are wondering when I post about my next podcast episode. I'll post his picture as well so you can see what we're talking about. So,
yes.
okay.
He melted my Haagen-Dazs. I thought he was pretty handsome.
Yeah.
Well, for yeah, yeah, I will date him in the heartbeat. But I know he's married. I did a full investigation on him because somebody else was getting scammed by this
Yes.
Tony Richard,
Richard. Yes.
whatever it was. Yeah. And when I showed I post the interview that you have, Kate. I post the interview on my TikTok. I had so many DM. No, that is not his name. It's Norman, or uh different names. And I'm like,
Uh,
oh, poor thing, you got scammed, and
yeah.
it's hard to break that down to them, it's
Oh,
very hard.
positively. Positively. It's almost impossible. If someone is really under the spell,
Yep.
and these guys know how to get you under the spell, know what buttons to push, and I really believe they study your profiles,
Oh yeah.
see what's going on. And my Facebook account doesn't have any pic. I have no children. My husband and I weren't able to have children. So there aren't any pictures of like middle-aged children or any grandchildren. And I'm sure he picked up on that.
Let me ask you a question, Kate,
Yes.
because this is the major error that a lot of people make on the profiles. Did
Yes.
you put at any time the word widow?
Yes, I
Yep.
did.
Yep.
I didn't know I could put parameters on it so it only went to my friends and family. I didn't know that. So when I
Hmm.
set up my Facebook account, it was wide open to the world.
Yep. I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Well, it was a tough thing to go through, but honestly, I believe I was supposed to go through it
Yep.
so that I could come out the other side and do this for other people. Honestly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he told me he had these two children, 12 and 15, and they were in a boarding school in England because he was supposedly in Iraq working out a contract for the UN, that he was a medical surgeon over there working on the soldiers in the field.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the two children were in this boarding school. And he told me he told them about me, and he said that he loved me, wanted to get married, and they were so excited and they wanted to call me mom. Well, not having had children, I waited all my life for somebody to call me mom. But I didn't want them to do that and be resentful, especially if their mother had just recently died, like within a few years. At that age, I think it would be tough to do that with someone they hadn't even met. But he said, no, no, they're insisting. And he gave them my email address. Now, I never spoke to them like I did with Tony, but they emailed me every day and they called me mom 100 times in each email. And I'm sure that was deliberate, to win me over. Where are we going to live, mom, when we all are together again? Can we get a dog? Can I get a basketball hoop for the backyard, mom? We love you, mom. We love you because you're making dad so happy. And then after about 3 or 4 months of us going back and forth, and Tony wanted to get married, he wanted to come to Philadelphia to meet me and get our wedding all planned and what have you. And like, let's wait till we at least meet before we go that far. I got a very frantic email from his daughter, who was 15. And from what she said in the email, she had obviously gotten her first period. And she was just so upset about it. And I'm thinking, what 15-year-old girl doesn't know, even if she hasn't started, which is unusual, but what girl doesn't at least know something about this? But then, of course, I'm always rationalizing everything. And well, her mother's been gone 3 years. That would mean she was 12 when her mother died. And she had leukemia, so she was probably sick for a couple years. That might have taken her back to 9 or whatever. And maybe they just never got to it. If the mom was sick and everybody was in an uproar, maybe nobody told her what was going on. And we were in the shutdown of the pandemic, so all the other kids at the boarding school had been sent home, but his Tony's kids couldn't go home because he was in Iraq. So they stayed at the school, and there was a skeleton crew of some teachers, but no other kids. So she had nobody to talk to. So the bottom line was I called Tony and told him, and he said, "Oh, would you please send her a gift card so that she can buy what she needs at the school store?" And I said, "Well, sure, but I'm in Philadelphia and she's in England. By the time the gift card gets to her, it'll be over." And he said, "Oh, no, no, you take a picture of the front and back and you just send her those pictures." I said, "Well, you can't buy anything in this country with a picture of a gift card. You just can't walk into Penny's and say, 'I'll take that pearl necklace and here's a picture of how I'm going to pay for it.'" They would be escorting you out the door. But, "Oh, no, it'll work. It'll work." And I said, "Well," he said, "just please do it." Just so I went and I bought a gift card for $100. And I came home and I sent her the pictures. And before I got up, I checked the balance of the card and it was already back down to zero. They had
Yep.
snatched that money off there right away.
Yep.
So what kind of card you sent?
It was a vanilla.
Visa.
Vanilla
Okay.
Visa.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, vanilla Visa. So the next day, Tony calls and he says his son has his nose out of joint because his sister got a gift card. Why can't I get one? I could get a computer game and it would help because I sit here all day and blah, blah. So could I go get the son one as well? And I did. And of course, then it just went from there. Tony needed a card for a better signal to be able to call me. He needed a card for a better food if you could bribe your way at the cafeteria and get something better, or he needed a card to bribe a guard or whatever, but he just needed, just started this whole big thing going. Now he wants to come to Philadelphia and meet me, and he asked me to write to his supervisor to just put in a little extra plug to get him to be allowed to take leave time and come over. And the plan was he was going to take leave, come to Philadelphia, and then retire so that he did not have to go back to Iraq. So I wrote a letter to the supervisor. Of course, Tony wanted me to send it to him to deliver to the supervisor. So I never had an address for that. But the supervisor wrote back, and he was even calling me Mrs. Tony, which I just thought was cute.
Wow.
And he said, "I'm going to give him leave time because he's driving us crazy. All he talks about is you. He wants to get married. He can't wait to meet you, can't wait to get married. He's driving us nuts. So all of us here would like to see Tony go on leave. So he's going to do that. And I just ask you one thing, invite me to the wedding," which made it real for me. Now I've got 2 kids emailing me every day. Now I've got the supervisor emailing me. Tony's calling me 5 and 6 times a day at this point. Sometimes just for 30 seconds. "I just want to hear your voice. I just wanted to say I love you." And at that time, I had 6 hospice dogs. After my husband passed, I got into rescuing hospice dogs. And the dogs themselves were in hospice. They were sick, but not yet ready to pass on. I kept them, took care of them medically, and when it was time, I would take them, hold them, and sing to them while they passed over.
Oh, so sweet.
Oh, that's awesome.
It really
I
is.
wanted them to be comfortable, not to be
Yes.
afraid. Just they were used to being in my arms anyway, so it was a comfortable place, and I would just sing gently till they passed. And I cried at every one, whether I had had them 2 days or 2 years or whatever, every one of them I cried for. But Tony took the time to recognize each dog's bark or whimper or whatever. And he'd say, "Oh, is that Trixie? Oh, she sounds so cute." Or, "Oh, is that Duffy barking?" Because, like a kid, as soon as you pick up a phone, they're right there in your face, like, come on, I got to go out. You gotta get off the phone. Let me out, let me out, let me out. So he knew every dog's name and he would ask me about them all the time, which endeared him to me. But I'm sure you'd find that in that book, like find out something about them that
Yep.
will get close to their heart. And, that was mine. So now Tony needs money to come to the United States. He needs the airfare. And I said to him, I am having trouble paying my own bills with all these gift cards I'm sending. I told you, honey, I'm going to pay you back. I'll pay you more back when I get there, because it's too dangerous being in Iraq and having any connection to my bank account, or what if I'm captured, they'll be able to clean me out. And, he had an excuse for everything.
Yep.
When I really pushed, he sent me a link, which of course now I know never to use a link that anyone sends you like that, but it was for the Bank of America. I should have typed in myself www.bankofamerica.com, not the link that he sent, because it took me right to the scammer's version of the Bank of America website, which looked pristine.
Yep.
It was perfect, absolutely perfect. Tony gave me his username and his password, and I put it in. Up comes a balance with his name on it, everything legitimate, with a balance of a little over $2 million. And I'm thinking, well, then it's safe to lend him money. He's got money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well,
Hmm.
so I send him the money for the airfare, and he's supposed to come on December the 10th. It was a Thursday. At that time, I lived 2 miles away from the Philadelphia International Airport. And the plan was, when Tony got here, he was going to call me and I could just call me. By the time he walked through the airport and out the exit, I would have been there, and, just being 2 miles away. So he was to arrive at 10 p.m. And I spent all day getting ready. I did my nails. I didn't like that color. I redid my nails. I did my hair. I soaked in a tub. I tried on every dress I had in my closet, whatever. And I was ready. I'm all ready to go. And 10 o'clock comes and I thought, he's landing. Okay. 11 o'clock, and I thought, well, it's okay, don't get worried yet, because sometimes the plane doesn't always taxi right to the gate. Sometimes you're stuck out on the tarmac, and it's an international flight, so he's got to go through customs, so that's going to be longer, and then he's got to get his bag and blah blah blah. 12 o'clock, I'm getting a little uptight. Now, he had sent me a picture that morning of him in the airport with the caption, "Next time we're talking, I'll be in the same room as you. Isn't that great? I can't wait." 1 o'clock, now I'm kind of walking up and down the room, and 2 o'clock, I'm in tears. Not that I think it's a scam. I'm so bullheaded. I'm thinking something happened. However, I did not have a flight number or an airline, because Tony said he was flying in on a UN flight. So I couldn't call anybody to check that. Finally, I cried myself to sleep. And about 8 o'clock the next morning, another character enters the scenario, and this is Tony's lawyer. And he said Tony had been arrested in Philadelphia when he went to take his bag off the carousel in baggage claim, that the drug sniffing dog had indicated there were drugs in his bag. Again, bullheaded. Not my Tony. He wouldn't bring drugs into. He's a doctor. He wouldn't bring drugs into this country like that. He knows better. How many people handled his bag between Iraq and here? Could have been anybody. But they needed bail money to get him out. $20,000. Now, all I could do was cry because I didn't have $20 to my name at that point. I had given him everything I had, which amounted to $39,000. I had given him my savings, my checking, my 401k,
Oh my God.
my husband's, the rest of his life insurance. There wasn't a whole lot left, but it was gone now. And Tony even knew what day of the month my Social Security hit. And he would call and say, well, I know you got your money today, so I need a card. So this guy is trying to give me a hard time. Like, don't you love him, madam? You're going to leave him in that jail? I said, there's nothing I can do. I mean, I don't care how much you guilt me here. I don't have $20,000 and nowhere to get it. Well, how about selling your life insurance policy? Well, I thank God mine is set up already to pay for my funeral. So it's already signed over to the funeral director and what have you to take care of all that. Since we didn't have children, I don't have someone to do that when I die. So I'm trying to explain this to this man, and he's not getting it. He sounds foreign as well. So he said, well, then you're going to have to sell your car. Tony will get you a brand new car as soon as he gets out, a brand new one. Well, this is where I get sexist, but I mean, against women, how is a woman, what am I supposed to do? Walk out my front door and say, does anybody want to buy my car? Like, I have no idea how to go about selling my car. But again, I couldn't because it was leased. Now, try and explain that to this guy. He's like, what do you mean you can't sell it? I said, it doesn't belong to me. I pay on it each month, but it's leased. It belongs to the dealership. No, he couldn't figure that out. Well, then you'll have to remortgage your home. And I said, well, that's a possibility, but that doesn't happen overnight. You don't walk into a bank and then walk back out with a check. It's months I've never done it, but I know from other people that it's a long process. Well, then go to your family. Well, now that would be fun. I have 3 sisters. We're very close. When one cries, the other 3 taste salt. We've always been close. However, I have not mentioned Tony to anybody, and I'm sure because in my head, I knew there was this possibility it wasn't true, but I wouldn't face that. And I didn't want to tell anybody until he was here and it was definite. So I could just see me calling up my sisters and saying, hey, I'm engaged. I know you haven't met him yet, but that's okay. I haven't met him yet either. And he came here to the United States to see me and he got arrested and I need $20,000. So what do you say? I'm sure that would not have gone over well with my sisters, even though we love each other. Maybe
Oh
not
yeah.
$20,000 worth, but I can't imagine that. For someone they had no idea even exists, they're going to fork over this money. So the lawyer called me a couple times a day, really pushing. And I said, well, if he's in Philadelphia, get me on the visitors list because I'm 2 miles away from the city. If he's here, at least I could go meet him. Oh, no, madam, only the lawyer is allowed in. Well, that was the first crack in the foundation there. And I'm like, I know that's not true. I know it's not. But I didn't say anything to him. Now, I guess he must have gone back to Tony and said, she's not falling for this at all. So now Tony is calling me and crying, please get me out of here. Please, you don't know what it's doing to me. I've got to get out of here. I said, I don't know what to tell you, but I have no money and no place to get it. Please, you've got to find some way to do this and get me a gift card and send it because I need the food in here is awful. And I said, well, you can't bribe your way into getting better food in a prison in this country. It doesn't work that way. And then he would call 2 or 3 times and I'd say, how can you call me so many times? You're allowed 1 phone call a day or what, and you have to wait in line and blah, blah, blah. How can you be doing this? I'm a doctor. I have privileges. I said, look around, bud. You're not the only doctor in there, I'm sure.
Mhm. Yeah.
And he said, well, I'm with the UN and I have privileges. I said, well, not here. That's not going to hold up in the jail. So I now it's really coming to my mind that this is a scam. And I thought my only push is with the lawyer and insisting on the visiting. So I told him again, you get me on that visitors list, then we'll talk about the $20,000. And he said, oh, Tony's been transferred.
Genius.
Oh
I
my
said,
God.
transferred where? Oklahoma. That's what blew the whole thing. Who's in prison in Philadelphia and gets
And
transferred
transferred
to
to.
Oklahoma? You know, they did not do their homework on that piece of
Yep.
information at all. And that's really what turned the tide for me. I knew then. And I just cried and cried and cried for days.
Yeah.
I them losing the money was devastating. I am now so broke. My cell phone's being turned off. My electricity's being turned off. I've never lived like that. And all of that was horrible because at this age, there's no place to make money. You know, you can't get a job. You're too old for that. Nobody wants to hire you. You can't get an increase in your social security or, overtime somewhere or whatever. You're already living on the edge financially. So
Hmm.
how can you get more money to make up that loss? And it's impossible. And all of that was horrible. But losing that love broke my heart.
Hmm.
I had opened myself up to it at last, and I kept telling Tony I loved him. I couldn't, well, he had me going out looking for houses, told me what price range to look for, tell the realtor that we were going to pay cash so we didn't have to worry about a mortgage, and what area he wanted, make sure there's a good school system for the kids, and the whole bit. I'm out like an idiot looking at houses. Where are we going to live? How happy we're going to be when I finally have this life with children. I couldn't wait. I bought those kids Christmas presents,
Mm.
and I had to sit there and look at them sitting on my coffee table. So I stopped answering the phone calls from Tony and the lawyer, and I was just in a bad way.
Hmm.
I had, still have a girlfriend who, we're still on the lockdown, so you're not seeing anybody and what have you. She lived several hours away from me, and she called me every day because I was keeping her dog as well. She had been sick, so I had an extra dog in the house. And she kept saying to me, you sound sad. You sound like something's wrong. Do you want to talk about it? No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Well, this went on like every night for, you really sound sad. Do you want me to pray with you? Do you want me to listen to what you have to say? If you've got something you need to talk about, I'm here. No, I'm good. Well, it was 2 weeks before I did she asked me one more time and I did the I Love Lucy. Why?
Mm.
And just cried and cried and cried. And so I told her my story, and she said, you need to go to the police. And I'm like, no, no, I don't want to do that. She said, you have to go to the police about this. So I called the office number, not 911, but I called the office number of the local police. And again, remember, we're on lockdown, so there's no one in the office. The policemen on duty are out patrolling. And I left a message. I never got a call back. But I thought, I tried, so I told my friend, hey, I called and I haven't heard from them. Well, you need to go to the state police. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not doing this again. Because it takes so much courage to even make that phone call. But I worked on it, dialed the number, and a woman answered. And I thought, thank God it's a woman. It'll be easier to tell her my story, why I'm calling. And I got a few sentences out, and she said, why are you calling here? And I said, well, but he said he was going to come here and pay me back. And then, you know, and I'm already crying. And, you know, I did a lot of crying in those days. And she said, you willingly gave him that money, hun. Well, I don't know which bothered
No.
me the worst, you know, telling me I willingly did this or being called hun. You know, I was ready to go through the phone at her. And she said, there's no crime here. And she hung up.
My
I
God.
was beside myself about this. And I thought that, you know, I've tried twice. Nobody's interested. Forget it. Now my friend tells me I need to tell my sisters. And I'm like, oh, no. I'd rather call the police again than try and tell my sisters this. And she said, but you're in trouble financially. You're going to need some help. So I had been a secretary during my career. So I handled this like a secretary. I set up a Zoom call for Sunday night. I sent my three sisters a text and said, on a Friday morning, I need to speak to you about something. I've set up a Zoom for Sunday night. Please try and be. Now, where are they going to go? You know, we're in the lockdown. They're not going to be anywhere. So please try and be on the Zoom Sunday night at 7. Don't call me over the weekend. I need some time to get myself together and we'll talk Sunday night. I thought I said it was not a medical problem. I only said that in my head. I never put that in the text. So, of course, they think I'm dying from something. And they're calling each other like, you know, oh my God, what do you think it is? What should we do? And so Sunday night comes, and I had made a bulleted list of what I wanted to say, in what order I wanted to say it. I wanted them to understand the story step by step, and I wanted them to hear it at the same time so that I wasn't making 3 phone calls and doing this 3 times. And if I did that, I didn't want to get to number 2 sister and then have number 1 sister call in number 4. And they're, you know, like, oh, did you hear what happened? And, you know, that I have to tell them all together. So the time came for the meeting and I sign on to Zoom. Of course, the 3 of them are already on and sitting there waiting, you know. And when I got to the part about it being a romance scam, they all went, oh, thank God. So I actually got a little reprieve that I wasn't dying from some terrible disease. And I said, please don't interrupt me. Let me get this out. And there will be time for questions and answers at the end, you know, but I need to get this out. So I'm going down my list and I get to the last bullet point and my head is down because I'm reading off the bottom of the paper and I finish and I don't look up because I don't want to see their faces. And I'm waiting for one of them to yell at me. I'm waiting for one of them to say, how stupid can you be? How could you let this happen? But that's not what they said. And I have my head down, and one of them said, you're so brave. And I started to cry, and they started to cry, and they were very upset that this had happened to me, but they were not angry with me or whatever. Um, and of course, they were going to help me. It was shortly after that that the AARP magazine came out with a story about a romance scam with an 800 number to call for support. And one of my sisters called and said, hey, did you see that? And, you know, maybe that would help. And I called again, gathering up that courage to call. But I got the nicest man on the other end of the phone who listened to my story and said, well, yes, it is a crime and it needs to be reported. So at the end of the conversation, he said, that hammer you have in your hand, hitting yourself over the head with, it's time to put that down. And I want to get that on a t-shirt or do it in cross stitch or something because it's very,
I will make you a t-shirt. Text me that quote. I will make you a shirt.
Oh my
I have a
God, that
Cricut
would be,
machine. I have a Cricut machine.
oh,
I'm gonna make you that
fabulous.
shirt and just, like you said, text me that quote
I will.
and your shirt size and what color
Okay.
you like. And I'm gonna make that shirt for you.
Oh, how fabulous is that? But then he also said, "Are you willing to tell your story?" And I said, "Well, I guess so." And since then, I have testified before the Senate Subcommittee on Aging. I've been interviewed by the New York Times. I've been on Good Morning America. Last October, I was on the Tamron Hall show. I have
Oh, that
spoken
picture.
at the White House last year. The previous administration invited me to come speak at a women's convening. I, I, I could go on and on and on, but a few months after I had stopped answering Tony's phone calls, it was May at that point, but it got very warm very quickly, and I do not do well in the heat. And when it got that warm, it was up to like 85. I flipped on my central air and it didn't come on. Now, I didn't have $10 to even have somebody come look at it, let alone fix it. Well, I needed something. So I hooked up a portable air conditioner in the living room. Now, I was in an old house. So there wasn't the correct wiring in the living room. So I ran one of those big long orange extension cords out to the kitchen, which had been an added on room at some point, and I plugged in the air conditioner there. So the dogs and I, the six dogs and I, slept and ate and drank and watched TV and whatever in the living room because it was the place I could keep the coolest. On July 16th, it had been so hot the day before. I was actually sleeping in my skivvies. I was sleeping in my underwear. I woke up at 5 a.m. and my living room was on fire. The extension cord and the air conditioner were spitting fire into the living room. The dogs took off to the back of the house, and I was taking their dog beds trying to beat out these little fires that were all over the place. Because I didn't want anybody to know I had a fire in there on top of everything else. But I put one or two fires out, and six more would come up. And before long, the living room was engulfed in flames, and I needed to get out. And I did go out through the glass was breaking in the front porch, and I got out in my underwear. Now, I lived on this street for 42 years. There are some things that should remain a mystery. Me in my underwear is one of them. Now, it's 5 in the morning, thank goodness, because my neighbors are all in bed, but I knew they would be getting up when the fire engines came. And I was finally taken to the hospital to the burn unit where I spent some time. Now I'm living in a hotel while I'm waiting for my homeowner's insurance to settle. And it's September now. We fast forward to September, and Tony's ringtone comes through my computer. And without even, I was like, oh my God, it's Tony. And I answered it without thinking. I answered, "Hi, hon, how are you?" Like we had talked the day before. How am I? How am I? So I tell him about the fire, the dogs. Oh, my poor baby. I'm so sorry. That's awful. Oh my gosh. You poor thing. I'm so sorry. That's terrible. But listen, I need a gift card for $50. Can you get it for me this afternoon?
Get the heck out of here.
Aldi.
Wow.
I am not going to tell you what I said to him because we'd never get this on air.
Oh,
Oh, girl, you can say it.
you can say, because I can put a disclaimer out. I have on one previous episode for something that this guy said happened. And so if you want to say it, girl, let it rip.
Nah, no, it was bad enough the first time I said it. So he said, well, I said, did you hear what I said? I have no money. I've lost everything. Every blessed thing I ever owned is gone. And he said, no, you have money. I know you have money. I said, well,
The
would you mind telling me where it is? Because I'd like to find it. He said, I know your friends started a GoFundMe page for you, and I can even tell you what the balance is.
Oh my God.
He is watching me. Well, he didn't get any of the GoFundMe money, but he still does call every so often. Can't you put this behind you? Can't we still get married? Yeah,
Well, you are not the person in the picture, you motherfucker. And go find yourself. You know, I would have changed the number. I don't know. You don't. It's hard to change a number that you have for many years, and I
yes,
understand that. But sometimes you have to rip your band-aid and start all
true.
over again.
Yes, yes, yes. If I hadn't had to leave my house also, because that was gone, that phone number that I had had for so many years was the only way for anybody to get in touch with me. So I really didn't, I mean, now I don't answer, but, like I said, it rang and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Tony without even thinking and grabbed it. But I don't do that anymore.
Block that number. Block that number.
But I do
Oh,
go out and speak wherever I can. The day of the fire, the house burnt to the ground, and all six of my hospice dogs died in the fire that day.
I'm so
It's
sorry,
awful.
honey. I'm
So I
so sorry.
lost all of my money, lost everything I owned, and I lost my six babies as well.
Oh, my heart is
Yeah.
aching right now.
Now, I could have curled up in a ball, laid in
Mm-hmm.
the corner, and stayed there the rest of my life,
Mm-hmm.
but that wouldn't fix
That would
anything.
need nothing.
No,
So
it really would have
you
given
need to
him more
go and
power.
show everybody what happened
Yes.
to you, so this don't happen to other people. Girl, I bow to you.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
bow to you because
yeah.
Well, you know,
I know a lot of people that don't have the same courage that you
yeah.
have.
Right.
I always encourage, and I talk about this a lot on my lives, and I talk about it here, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, and I don't care. I always say now, if you've been scammed, it's horrible. You have my full support and sympathy, and I'll pray for you. But take what you've learned and help other people.
Yeah.
And you are totally, Kate, a prime example of that. And
Yes,
I'm honored to even have met you and have
Oh,
you on my podcast. I really am.
absolutely.
You're a rock star. I refer to
oh
rockisms a
no.
lot. And Kathy is a rock star too. I don't call a lot of people rock stars, but no, but I mean, the fact that you take everything that's happened and you turn it into something to
Positive.
help other people.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
now you who came up with the Unbreaking Project and how did that all start? Because I'm a huge fan of it.
Well, the ladies from the Tinder Swindler.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, I was able to speak. I cannot think of her name. That's awful. I spoke to one of them. She was at a meeting where I was attending, and I asked her if she and I could do a private chat. So we did a Zoom, and she's in Norway. And
I know who she is. I watched that
Yep.
series the
I
other
watched
weekend.
that like a yeah, and I rewatched it like
Trying to find my note.
actually
I
I watched
know,
it like a fourth time.
Cecile.
no,
Okay.
um, or
But then there was other people she interviewed on that show. There was a Jill, a Charisse, a Bridget, and a Aaron, a guy. But that's okay.
but
You'll think
anyway,
of it.
she was one of the four that got scammed. And she says it now she's doing this also in Norway, going out and speaking and what have you. And she said in Norway, when someone calls the police and to report a scam, a romance scam in particular, they send the police to the person and they send the trauma unit. And I said, man, we can't get a policeman to answer the phone here, but the trauma unit goes there. So I started thinking about that. And I know a lot of police stations have stuffed animals for children who are involved in any kind of a trauma at all. They give the child a stuffed animal, they can hold on to it and feel comforted by that. Well, a stuffed animal isn't going to work for an adult, and I was trying to think of what could be done to give some support to an adult who's gone through this trauma. And I came up with doing blankets. Now I crochet, I knit, I quilt, I whatever, do all that stuff. So I thought I'm going to make some Afghans just big enough to like put around your shoulders or put on your lap.
You're talking about Pernilla? Is one of the girls from the Tender Swindler?
I don't think so. I'm sorry.
Cecile?
No, I'll have to look in my notes as well. I just can't remember. But anyway,
Natalie?
no, no.
I know on the Netflix series, I think it was Cecile, who actually talks to her and a private detective, um, search for, she had 4 people and one was a guy, and I'm trying to get a hold of him to come on here.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but he yeah, but they like help these people kind of get closure,
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
and it
yes.
was
Cecile
really
was the
good.
one that, yeah, Cecile was the one that
Yeah.
made the whole interviews and got everybody together to get a happy, well, I don't call it happy ending,
Give
but
some closure.
they got
Yeah.
closer.
Yeah,
It's called
yeah.
Love Con Revenge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a
Oh,
6-part
that's the good
series
one.
on
Yeah.
Netflix. Yeah, I binged it the other weekend so I could talk about it on my live.
Well, I had come up with this thought about doing the blankets and what have you, and then another friend who is involved in financial abuse, and we speak together at times. He had two folk, Kathy and another person, who wanted to meet me, so he set that up, and I happened to talk about this. I said, I really want to do something. Well, Kathy Waters took this idea, and she just went full course with it. It's now called the Unbreaking Project, to unbreak your heart, and Kate's hug, so that the blanket that you receive is a hug. Yes.
Love it.
And in the package is a blanket, either one that I've made or I have other people working on them to make them, or Kathy has put together a program and we've gotten some donations, and she's bought the fleece throws. And in the package, you get the blanket and a list of resources to go to. And there's a personal letter from me in each one. And we're giving them to the law enforcement folks. I'm not giving them directly to the scam victims. I want the law enforcement people to give it to the scam victim, so both those people, the victim and the policeman or woman, will feel differently about the other.
Right.
I hate when and I've talked to several people who have been scammed, and God bless your sisters. They're my best friends now. Because,
Besties.
you'll hear about, well, I was scammed and then my family just yelled at me. And I'm
Yes.
like, that's not the way to do it.
No.
They can
Right.
be concerned, but
Yep.
give the girl a hug and then just say, okay, we're going to try to figure this out. I don't
Yeah.
like the yelling. I don't like the disrespect and calling
No.
people. I hate the word stupid. I use that on scammers because it's different. But when somebody is telling a woman, well, you're so stupid, why would you do that?
I've
I just
heard
want to
that.
smack them. Yeah.
I heard that all the time. The victim come to me and I said that you spoke with your family. No, well, yes, and they call me stupid, naive,
Mhm.
gullible. You are the dumbest people. I mean, they keep going and going. I said, are you what? And I said, yeah, I cannot speak with my family because they completely cut me out because I
Mhm.
it happened, whatever happened to me with this, and I lost everything. Now they think that I'm asking for money or whatever. I will rebuild myself or whatever, but it's hard to talk with your family, and I say, I'm so sorry. You know what? If you want to talk, you want to yell, you want to scream, you want to say something, just send me a message. I'll be there for you.
Me
I
too.
will be a ear that you need at that time to you let it go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
say whatever you feel. It's hard. It's hard. And it's not only women. The majority is women,
Right.
but males are very scared to say what happened to
Yeah.
them because the ego, the macho thing, the oh, that never happened to me. How can this happen? And they don't say it. And I hear a lot of people, they lose their life, their own life, because they cannot handle the deception and
Mhm.
the betrayal, in all this. And you are, like Patsy said, a rock star girl, about
No,
you.
no, no. The suicide rate is very high
Yes.
with people who have gone through this. And I, along with going out and speaking, I also speak privately with victims and their families. I will do Zooms with, week after
Super.
week and try to get the family to understand by telling them my story and
Mhm.
how easy it is. And until you walk in my shoes, don't tell me I'm stupid.
Right.
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 And when I go speak to law enforcement people, I get up to the podium and I take my fist and I bang as hard as I can. And I say, how stupid can you be? If that's what you think about scam victims, you need to listen to me.
Oh, love it.
And
Love it.
they do. They really do. So I'm hoping when a law enforcement person gives this blanket to the victim, it's going to get the law enforcement person to see the human person that is in there that needs some support. You don't need someone telling you you're dumb or naive or whatever, because you already know that. You've told yourself that 100 times
Exactly.
already.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
this project is being rolled out. We've got blankets to give out. We've got some visitations set up with different police departments who have shown some interest in this. And it's a wonderful, wonderful project. And I'm getting, I have gone to the hospital with a friend, the same friend who had needed some surgery. I sat in the waiting room, the surgical waiting room. Do you know how many women sit in there and knit and crochet? They're all my friends now because I went and talked
Yes.
to them and said, could you make just one blanket for this cause? Just one. I'm not asking you to make 40, just one. So,
Yeah.
and people have donated yarn to me as well. So, it's a good, I think it's a good, healthy way to go forward with this.
Yes. Yes. So now, where do you live? Are you in an apartment or since you lost your house?
I lost my house and everything in it.
Ugh.
I'm
Mm.
actually in Manheim, Pennsylvania, which is in Lancaster County. I have always loved the Lancaster area. And after my house burnt down, I thought I don't want to live here again. I don't want to rebuild on this same site and be here again.
Yeah.
So I moved here, and fortunately, my homeowners was a good enough policy that it enabled me to be able to get this house.
Oh,
That
good.
Oh,
I'm in a 55 and
wonderful.
over community now, and I'm in the middle of Amish farms. I have, I just had Thursday, I had my sisters and four of my Amish friends. We met for lunch and met each other. It was
Oh,
great.
nice.
And I love this. I drive the Amish where they need to be when the horse and buggy can't go that far. It's
Oh, that's wonderful.
God has put me in exactly the right place where I need to be.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. Yes.
So you go to
Yes.
the Amish market and buy all the stuff that they made
Hmm.
there. I know exactly where you are. I used to live in Jersey, and I used to travel once a month to Lancaster. Uh,
Oh, wow.
yes, yes, I used to go over there and buy the honey, the cheese, the bread. Oh,
Oh, the bread. Yes.
oh, oh. It was, and I love it. I love that area. But
Yes.
God
Yes.
put you in the right place, definitely.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And I'm right where I can get to. I will drive anywhere to go speak, within I was going to say within the state, but
Hmm.
Maryland is right over the border. Jersey is not far, Delaware. But
Yeah.
I if somebody wants me to come speak, I'm there because it can help
Yes.
someone, family members. If I look out in the audience and I see somebody with their arms crossed and they're looking at me like, yeah, 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 I point to them and say, you have the biggest target on your back because
Yep.
you're sitting there unbelieving. And let me tell you, you can be pulled into this as well as anybody. I mean,
Anybody.
Yep.
people with tremendous degrees and what have you. It doesn't just
Yes.
happen to the everyday person.
But this is when I used to do live on TikTok, and I used to join Patsy on her live. Um, right now, I'm away from that because I have a lot of things personal that I have to take care of anyway.
Uh,
But I hear people that don't happen to me. I have a master in psychology.
mhm.
Yeah, baby, it happened to you. It will happen to you. You know,
Exactly. Exactly.
anybody. It can be a doctor, CEO. It
Yes.
can be anyone. They are a target for these people. They don't discriminate. Before, many years ago, like 5, 6 years ago, was people from the age of 45 and above that they
Hmm.
was the major target. Right now, they don't discriminate.
No.
They target young people, women that are divorced. And this is the reason why I ask you what you put on your Facebook profile, what information you put, because as long as you put widow, divorce, separate,
Yes.
things like that,
Yes.
you are the biggest target
Right.
for these scammers. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, she's alone. She would love some love bombing, you know. Oh, she lost her husband. So I'm gonna fulfill the love and everything that she
Hmm.
is looking for. Somebody that say yes every time she says something. That is the biggest target. And it's
Yes.
including men and women. I'm not discriminating here.
No, you're right. You're right.
And I've been trying to teach these people it don't matter. They using people that are military, oil rig,
Hmm.
doctors, you name it.
Celebrity scams.
My scammer, well, he tried to scam me. I don't send money, no, even to my sister. Let me put it that way. I'm that stench, you know. Uh it have to be a major thing for me to say, you know what? Yeah, I will help it, you know.
Right.
And this guy was a realtor in Florida, and when finally I was looking for his picture because I do a reverse image, I found
Right.
the real person. Okay. And he was in Instagram. I sent a private message. Well, he's married to another guy, the real person. Is married to another guy. They've been married, him and his husband, for 20 years, you know,
Yeah.
and they was using his picture to scam women that they think they are lonely. We became good
Mhm.
friends, you know, and we talk once in a while, Matthew and I. And his husband is like, oh, hi, bestie, you know, like, very nice and everything. But it can happen to anybody, honey. It can happen to anybody. And
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you have this project. I saw your video. The interview was a Good Morning America, I believe it
Yeah,
was.
I'm gonna go Google those now and you look them up.
Yeah. And I was like, when I saw you on the screen right now, I said, I know her. I know her from somewhere. You know how many news and articles that I've been searching and posting? I have thousands. So I can show to people this can happen to you,
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And you was one of them. And I'm like, oh my God, when you start saying Tony, and I said, I know her.
Mm.
I do know her, and that's why I say that you did interview in the news and things like that because I'm bad at names, but I'm good on faces, you know.
Me too.
And it's an honor to have you here
You,
Oh,
and
it
share your
is.
story, honey.
it's an
Yeah.
honor to be here. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah. So what's next up for you? I know you're still going to advocate and speak and do all kinds of cool stuff, especially with the Unbreaking Project. I assume that's what you're going to do, or do you have anything else on the horizon that you want to share?
Well, I've kind of also gotten involved with veterans who are being scammed, and
Yes.
to me that's like an extra stab in the heart,
Yes.
Yep.
that someone who has given up part of his or her life for this country and then is getting scammed on top of it.
She's
There's
gonna
a
be my bestie. She's gonna be my bestie from now on.
I
I'm
think so
telling you.
too. I think so.
I'm
Make her an
telling you.
honorary Google girl.
Yep.
there's a case out of New York where a man, an elderly man, veteran, was kidnapped by a drug addict and kept in a sleazy motel for 4 years.
Oh my
Stop.
This
God.
drug addict was taking his pension and any other monies that were coming in. And it just makes me very upset to know that this has happened, that no one was missing this man. He obviously had no family members or none that were interested in where he was or what happened. So I'm trying to set up a battle buddy system for veterans to hook up with another veteran,
Love it.
whether it's somebody from World War II in Afghanistan or Korea and Vietnam or what. Doesn't have to be the same time period that you were in. You can be hooked up with anybody. But and I presented this to the Veterans Administration, but it hasn't moved yet. It doesn't, first off, it does not need a congressional committee to study it for
Correct.
2 years. It
Correct.
doesn't. We already know who all the veterans are. Their information is in the Veterans Administration database. Put something out and ask them, would you like to be a buddy or do you need a buddy or both? And sign up. You don't have to give all of your information. How do you want to be contacted? By text, email? You don't need to give addresses or what have you. And it doesn't have to be a picnic lunch every Sunday. Call every once in a while. Just check in and see how the other person is doing. And these two, you can be hooked up with somebody who has been in the service and understands maybe what you're going through. But if you're not responding, if you're nowhere to be found, somebody needs to know that, that
Mm,
you're being exploited somehow or something's going on. So I'm working on that as well.
sounds great.
Well, I might can help you with that
Oh,
because I work with a lot of veterans.
okay.
Okay, and I'm in California. Just keep in mind that I'm in
Okay.
California. But
Okay.
I have a group of veterans. They are right now in Washington D.C.
Uh-huh.
protesting. You know, but I can get their information and send it to you.
Okay.
So they always taking care of the veterans. They always check if they need something. So let me do my research. I cannot promise you it's gonna be in a couple days, but I'm gonna do
No,
my
no, that's
research.
fine. That's fine.
I work with a lot of veterans.
That's wonderful, really.
Yeah. Yeah, and we have a group. We call each other Saving Our Own, and we
Um,
do live. It's more political than anything else. But when the veterans say, "I need food," I lost my benefits, things like that, we collect money and we send food. We send the priorities like a bread, cold cuts, something to drink, water. I mean,
right.
we trying to help our own people,
Yes. Yeah.
and we've been doing it for few months, and it's been very successful. We're trying to do it once a month to see who really need, and especially the veteran community.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. But let me search a few people and I get back to you, Miss Kate.
That would be wonderful.
Yes,
Wonderful.
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. I mean, I got involved with them by mistake. I call them by mistake, but was a good mistake because one of the person that was in the group, they created a fake account and was scamming people.
Oh,
And that's how I got to that group. And I said, well, are you this person on this profile? No, I only have this account and this account. Somebody stole your information and
oh,
they are
brother.
scamming people. And thank God we got that account down,
Oh,
completely banned. And that's what I do a lot on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. All those fake accounts, we report them
good
and
for
we
you.
bring it down. Yeah.
There's another one of mine out there.
Yep.
I have people duplicating my account on TikTok. I'm
Mm.
just like, give me a break. We
Three
got
of
rid of
your
one.
account. Three
Uh,
three of your account we got down.
yeah, and there's another one out there, and
Send
I
me the
went into
info.
my Suzanne account and I went in there and said, "This is not the pink lady, it's a scammer account." And then, of course, they blocked that one, and then I went into my other secret account and did the same thing. So I think I have it on my phone. I'll send it to you, Yvette, and I'll let you and your
Yeah.
ladies work on it for me. I
Yep,
appreciate it.
definitely. Um, I
Yeah.
I do different projects. The scam, the political, and the veterans. So
Oh,
I'm sometimes it's like, oh, I need a break right now. But you know what? You cannot have a break, especially with the scammers. You know,
right.
Yeah.
especially with the scammers. A minute that you give a break, it's another victim that come up. You
Yes.
know.
Yes. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Most
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much for being here. I just
Absolutely.
adore you. I'm your new best friend, and we've been talking about the Unbreaking Project on my lives, and I'm gonna bring it
Mm-hmm.
up again. Kathy made a fabulous video. I want to try to get that out on my website for people to watch. She has such a good narrator voice too.
Yes,
Oh,
Um,
she
but
does.
but yeah, it's like a minute video, and so I'm gonna start putting that out there too. But
Send me the
keep it.
link. Send
Oh,
me
go
the
ahead.
link. Send me the link of that
Sure.
video, and I send it back to you all prep, so you can post it in
Sure.
your you know. I
Well, I
do
can't do this without her. I can't do this without a vet. So, um, if you ever want to come back, if there's something new coming up, please
absolutely.
reach out.
okay.
You know, we're trying to do more podcasts. I say that all the time. We just had a lot going on at the beginning of the year, so I didn't start my podcast for this year until April.
Uh,
Um, but no, it's a pleasure meeting you, Kate. I thank you so much. Keep up the good work.
thank you.
You're what some would refer to as an angel.
Yes, you are.
So,
Yes, you are.
I just, when all this happened, when I lost my money, I lost my home, I lost my babies, I just said, all right, Lord, you've stripped me down to nothing here. I know there's something you want me to do, but I have no clue. So you better be a little
yeah.
more specific. And here I am. So,
Yes. Yes.
whatever it is, I'm willing to get out there and do it.
Super.
Miss Kathy, I just want to say it's been an honor.
Yeah.
And may God always blessing you with good things and happiness because you are an amazing woman to be sharing your story to the world.
Well,
So
thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you
Yes.
so much, and you as well.
Okay. Well, everybody, I thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. We'll be back, I think it's next week with Mama Jules and Tracy G from TikTok, who are old friends, who also educate. Um, you can follow me on Clapper. I lost my thing for a moment. Follow me on Clapper, Pink Lady Against Scams. I do lives there every night. I'm also on YouTube, Patsy3919, where I also do lives at the same time. I stream in 2 places. So please take care, be safe, and remember, they don't love you, they love your money. Bye-bye.
Bye.